Matthew chapter 19 and verse 29. And everyone that hath forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive an hundredfold, and shall inherit everlasting life. I want to give all infinite honors, praises, and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahawashi Bahashem, Haracha'a Kodash, for giving me the spirit to do this lesson. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth in sincerity. They steered us well and they rule well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. May the blessing of election be upon your house. This is the brother Zion coming at you with another lesson to feed the lambs through the Holy Spirit. Haracha'a Kodash. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying. Now, in this lesson, we're going to get into, you're going to have to lose some things for Yahawashi. All right? You are going to have to lose some things for Yahawashi. Okay? The scriptures say, with much more tribulation shall we enter into the kingdom of Yahweh B'Shem Yahawashi. All right? We have a cross that we have to bear. All right? We have a burden, all right, of these, of the chains of darkness that we under. We are literally in chains of darkness. We don't have new bodies. I got a stuffy nose right now. So we need to get healed by Yahweh Shema Shai by getting a new body, by having the laws written in our inward parts. These bodies we in are terrible. They're weak. They get sick. So you may have to lose something in this truth, and you may lose your health. You may lose a living situation. You may lose an animal or like a pet or something. You're gonna lose something. You may lose a wife, family members, all for this truth. Let's go, let's read Matthew 19 again. We got Matthew 19:29. And everyone that have forsaken houses. Let's look up that word forsaken. All right. In the Greek.
Strong's G 863. Afia me.
To let go, let alone, let be, to disregard, to leave, not to discuss now. All right? To omit, neglect. You hear me? To depart from one and leave him to himself, so that all mutual claims are abandoned. To desert wrongfully, to go away, leaving something behind, to leave one not by taking him as a companion, to leave on dying, leave behind one, to leave so that what is left may remain, leave remaining, abandon, leave destitute. You see? Let's go back. And everyone that have forsaken, let go, abandoned houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive an hundredfold, and shall inherit everlasting life. You see? When you encounter or examine the account with Job, Job, his health was stripped, but he still had faith. He was an upright man. His name was brought up in the heavens. So when we got to lose stuff, think of Job. Think of your name being brought up in the heavens. Because that's really what it is. You being tested. We all get tested. I get tested. You get tested. That means your name, surfaced in the heavens, and now it's your turn. To go through your Job affliction. And Job is a representation of the elect. Let's go to Job 1:1. There was a man in the land of Uz whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared Yahawashi and eschewed evil. You hear that? Let's go to Job 2:1. I go to verse 2:1. This is when Job loses his health, man. All right, you are gonna see that Job's name got mentioned in the heavens. There was a whole council on Job. So when you go through your affliction, it was a council about you too. It ain't just Job. Job is a representation. Job is a real man that walked the earth. That was upright and feared Yahawashi, perfect, all right, and eschewed evil, for sure. All right, but also you gotta examine that the scriptures was written aforetime for our learning. You understand? So the account with Job, you gotta understand that we have to go through our Job affliction as well. And it can be in however Yahawashi make it. It don't necessarily have to be health. It can be finances. It can be transportation. It can be your living situation. It can be whatever scenario Yahawashi want to generate for you. Job 2:1. Again, there was a day when the sons of Yahawashi came to present themselves before the Lord Yahweh. So how do you present yourself to Yahawashi if you're standing in front of them? You're not going to be standing. You're going to be bowed down with your face to the earth. You're not going to look at them eye to eye. You better not. You are going to present yourself. You're going to bow with on your knees, head to the earth. All right? That's how you going to present yourself to Yahawashi. You ain't finna stand up like a proud Negro. You'll get put to death so fast. You're going to bow yourself. That's how you properly present yourself in front of Yahawashi. Again, there was a day when the sons of Yahawashi came to present themselves before the Lord Yahweh, and Satan came also among them to present himself before Yahawashi. You see, Satan presented himself. That he's showing his respect to Yahawashi. There isn't any contention. When you go through hell or something like that, people be like, yeah, it's Satan that's doing it all. No, Satan has a part of it. But it's really Yahawashi. They're sending Satan. It ain't on the actual will of Satan. Like, no. Satan do as he told and go where he showed. Point blank, period. That's how Satan works. Satan don't act out of his own will. Everything that he do is ordained from the heavens. Point blank, period. There is no contention like how Christianity want to try to show you that, there's, the Lord and Satan arm wrestling the two forces. Like, come on, man. Satan do not look like Hellboy. And if you know who Hellboy looked like, it looked like a red demon with horns on his head. That's the furthest thing away from the truth. Satan is an angel, and he in the spirit realm right now. We already read about him presenting himself in the spirit realm. Where they at? Down the street at the liquor store or something? They in the spirit realm. So obviously Satan is an angel, but he's an angel that do the bidding of Yahawashi on the left hand side. You see, you got angels on the left hand side and you got angels on the right hand side. You understand? It's a difference. But demons are angels on the left hand side, and they do the bidding for Yahawashi on the left hand side. You know? Just like how you got angels on the right hand side that do the bidding for Yahawashi. Yahawashi is that strong angel. You see? That can only loosen the seals. He's that strong angel with that great loud voice, man. You know? But it say, verse 2, it say, and the Lord said unto Satan, from whence comest thou? So where you come from? And Satan answered the Lord Yahawashi and said, from going to and fro in the earth, and walking up and down it. And the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? Let me read that again. And the Lord Yahawashi said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? Have you noticed him? Have you noticed him over here, Job? So if Satan is the one doing all this out of his own will, why would Yahawashi even mention Job's name to begin with? He said, have thou considered my servant? It didn't say Satan's servant. Yahweh said, my servant. So when you get into this truth, you're going to catch some hell. You're going to catch some hell, man. You gotta prepare your soul for temptation. You're going to catch some hell. You're going to get chastised. You ain't finna get, because you was outside right after the street lights came on. And now you decide to come back to the house. What you think? You finna eat some cookies and milk and ice cream and watch, Cartoon Network, whatever, and just go to bed? No, you finna get your ass whooped. Because your ass should have been in the house. But before the street lights came on, you came in the house 5 hours after the street lights came on. You finna get your ass whooped. Because you know better. And now you want to do better? You gonna get your ass whooped. You know? Yahawashi will test all of us like that. Yahawashi put some of us through the ringer. He wring us out like a dirty dish rag. You know? The scriptures say it's a fearful thing to fall in the hands of the living power. Yahawashi can cook up something so creative on your ass. That's why it's scary, man. Just a fan less. You know? A fan less fear. Because you should fear of me reading this. Yahawashi put your name in a council. And sometimes those councils can you begin put to death or get excommunicated or whatever the Lord can cook up. And the Lord is cooking up. You know? For real. So to get back to the subject, you're going to have to go through stuff. And as you can see, Job's name was mentioned. Hast thou considered my servant Job? That there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth Yahawashi and escheweth evil. You see, we already brought that out in Job 1:1. Yahawashi talking really highly about Job. You know, the Lord can be talking very highly about you. That's why you catching your hell. You know, you don't have a whole lot to change about yourself. You got the main things to change about yourself, but you not no 2/3. The 2/3, they, man, I'm talking about from A to Z, Z to A, 15 times trillion over. They need to clean up their ways. You probably got a few little ways that you need to really change about yourself. You probably got a couple cans in the back of the cabinet you got to go on and pull out. You got a couple cans way in the back of the top cabinet. You know, you've been focusing on the inner man. You've been focusing on the inside of the cup so the outside can be made clean. These 2/3 ain't on that. And if they halfway on it, the outside of the cup is clean, but the inside of the cup look like Tales from the Crypt, man. With spider webs, cobwebs, and coffee rings, and, you know, insects, and, you know, dread, all in the bottom of their cup. They just seem holy on the outside, but really they inside is gross. But anyway, and the Lord said unto Satan, hast thou considered my servant Job? There is none like him in the earth, a perfect and upright man, one that feareth Yahawashi and escheweth evil. And still he holdeth fast his integrity, and although thou movest me against him to destroy him without cause. And Satan answered the Lord Yahawashi and said, skin for skin, yea, all that a man hath he will give for his life. But put forth thine hand now, and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. Do you hear what's going on right now? This is a bidding. It's like a bet. Like, yo, I bet I can get him to curse you to your face. I bet you I can get him to curse you to your face. See, Satan is a necessary evil. You know, Satan is a necessary evil. His job is to test your integrity and your faith in Yahawashi. And what's crazy to say, we gonna be cool with Satan in the kingdom. We gonna be using Satan to jump on these other heathens and get demons to jump on them. The Lord said we gonna have authority over angels. Let me hold that right quick and just get this right quick. Right quick. Just to prove my point. I got 1 Corinthians 6:2 to back myself up. I got, do ye not know that the saints shall judge the world? You hear me? The saints shall judge the world. See, what the 2/3 fail to realize is that when you see the brothers out there on the highways and hedges, the 2/3 in these other nations don't even realize they looking at the next rulers of the earth. They don't even realize that. Lord's will, we a part of that number. But in actuality, Yahawashi is going to use the house of David, all right, to help usher in that, you know what I'm saying, I say the real New World Order, if you want to call it like that. which is the new kingdom. That's a new world order for you, for real. It's going to be a new world and everything under complete righteousness under Yahawashi. And Yahawashi going to be in the flesh too. He not going to be in the spirit like how he is now. You going to be able to lay eyes on him and see Yahawashi. He going to be in the flesh. And we going to rebuild all the earth first. And then the whole earth going to get repopulated in this time. And the 2/3 is going to get reborn again, cycled back into the fold through the loins of the elect. You know? So at our Alahayim state, when that new Jerusalem come down, that's us getting beamed down with complete power and perfect understanding. We gonna be like many most highs. So we had the authority to judge the earth, but also have authority over angels. Now it say, and if the world shall be judged by you, are ye unworthy to judge the smallest matters? You see? So that means that we need to be able to be perfect judges now by handling small matters like within the camp, having proper counsels and not just having a counsel just to have it. No, like you are literally filtering out this counsel through Yahawashi. You see what I'm saying? Even to the smallest matter, you treat it big because you will be judging a planet. Heathens gonna be coming to you with all type of problems and you gonna have to judge it. You know? And that's why we learning evil and catching hell and doing all of that on this side to where we can be perfect judges in the kingdom. We only learn evil on this side to where as soon as we get new bodies, we understand both sides of the fence and nobody can run no BS or pull no wool over your eyes because you've been there, lived that, did that. You'll be a perfect judge. On this side, you learn an entire lifetime of evil. Nobody can pull the wool over your eyes, man. Especially when you got new bodies and the laws written in your inward parts and you a perfect judge because you understand both sides of the spectrum. If you just understood good, you would be a naive judge, man. Now I say, verse 3, know ye not that we shall judge angels? In the NLT it say, don't you realize that we will judge angels? Back in the KJV second half, how much more things that pertain to this life? You see? So it's like, so if you gonna have all this power to judge angels, to have authority over angels, to judge the world, you should be able to resolve a small matter on this side, man. It shouldn't be a problem. It shouldn't be an issue for you if you a true judge. Because a true judge is fair. 100%. Because the judge of all judges, Yahawashi, is all about fairness. They all about being fair, man. You know? And that's why every judgment that we get is really justified. Because they are fair. All of the shit that we did, we had moved Yahawashi to anger, and the Lord went and hollered at Satan, and Satan went and hollered at us. See, Satan just don't have to jump on you. He can jump on your possessions. You know, car start acting up, can't get to work, shit start breaking in the house, you stub your toe on the edge of the bed, this crazy shit, man. Refrigerator went out. You know, Satan will jump on your possessions, man. You know, it's however the Lord want to get you. But in this case, we are reading about Job losing his health, and he had his health stripped from him, man. You know. Now, verse 4. No, verse 5 it say, put forth thine hand now and touch his bone and his flesh, and he will curse thee to thy face. Verse 6. And the Lord Yahawashi say unto Satan, behold, he is in thy hand now, but save his life. You see? Okay. Test him, but don't kill him. That's literally what Yahawashi told Satan. So went Satan forth to the presence of the Lord. Okay, so Satan left the spirit realm immediately and smote Job with sore boils from the sole of his foot onto his crown. Now, there ain't no build up when judgment is being casted on you. It happens immediately. There ain't no scene where Satan get dressed up like Batman and you see a boot zip up and then you see him grab the cape and then you see him, pick out which car he want and all that. You don't see none of that. You don't hear none of that. The moment that judgment is casted out and it's done, it happens the moment immediately. You ain't got to pull a number like you at the DMV or Secretary of State or nothing. You ain't got to do, man, you ain't doing nothing. It happens immediately. Millions of people getting judged at the same time type stuff. For real, man. Yahawashi don't care, man. Because you was the one that messed up. And now he's bound by his word. And he gonna mess you up. Even though he don't want to really mess you up, but he bound by his word. But you really do got to understand that if you play with Yahawashi, you take advantage of him, he is going to judge the hell out of you, man. He will make an arm grow out your chest until he say ain't no more. That's scary. And as you can see, we seeing Job, he immediately got boils on the soles of his foot all the way to his crown. Verse 8. And he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat among the ashes. So now he trying to, because like if you had a pimple on your face, it'll pop, and then it itch. So he itching real bad, popping on pimples or boils. Boils bust, pus and all that, man. Then it itch and got infected, you know what I'm saying? He catching hell, man, over his whole body, and he's sitting in ashes. That's like you putting some baby powder on yourself. You know how Jake don't be trying to, because, you already scraped that one scab off and opened it back up. But he may have had a whole arm or the whole side of his leg is opened up. So he's sitting in some ashes, to try to soothe the, that's like you putting some baby powder on. If you got a cast and it's itching, they'll tell you not to put a wire hanger up there. No, pour some powder, baby powder, in the cast. To try to soothe the itching. Because he's scratching. He got broken pottery. Just imagine in Jacob's trouble. This nigga done twisted his ankle. And now, he done rolled that junk, or he was running through some through a tree line, and a sharp branch cut his inner thigh all the way down the front of it, because he ain't got no cut resistant pants on. It just ripped his jeans and got him good too, and it got infected. Just imagine that in Jacob's trouble, man. Jake gonna be getting roughed up in that day, man. Like 2/3 of our people, they gonna be getting, whew. You may get roughed up a little bit. You may get a couple feathers pulled out. You know, I may get a couple feathers pulled out. We're going to be in the midst of it. You know, but that major judgment is going to be for the 2/3 because you getting your ass whoopers out the way. See, one thing about Job is that, you know, what we finna get into, Job got everything back. And we finna get into that. It ain't like you just gonna lose everything and then that's it. No, that's not the reason why we doing this lesson. You do gotta lose things in this truth, but you gonna get it back though. You know? So when now verse 8 it say, and he took him a potsherd to scrape himself withal, and he sat down among the ashes. Then said his wife to him, here's the woman, dost thou still retain thine integrity? Curse the Most High and die. Dang. She just looking at him in a bad state. And you know, faith really wasn't given to women. Faith was given to the man. You know, if that was the case, you would see female prophets. I mean, come on. But she told him, are you still trying to maintain your integrity now? That's something a woman would tell her husband too. Like a modernized, worldly woman. That's worldly westernized. That sounds like a westernized American woman. That sounds like a black woman. For real. Curse the Most High and die. Like, dang. Let's see what Job said. But he said unto her, thou speakest as one of the foolish women speaketh. Right. You sound clamorous. You sound like a foolish woman. That is something a foolish woman would say. You know? What shall we receive good at the hand of Yahawashi? And shall we not receive evil? You hear that? In the NLT it say, should we accept only good things from the hands of Yahawashi and never anything bad? See that, you know, man, he straight cut her through the spirit. He cut her through the spirit. See, Jake want the gain but no pain. Basically. You know, everybody just want the good things from Yahawashi, and when it's the bad things, you just say it's Satan only. Like, no, it's Yahawashi. Yahawashi create good and evil, light and darkness. Both hands of the spectrum. You know? KJV, last part. And all this did not Job sin with his lips. Now when Job's 3 friends heard of all this evil that was come upon him, they came every one from his own place. Eliphaz, the Temanite, and Bildad, the Shuhite, and Zophar, the Nahamanite, that's like it, the Naamanite. For they had made an appointment together to come to mourn with him and to comfort him. So they think Job finna die. They think Job on his deathbed like hospice, and they just finna go and just be with the family and hold hands and do all this. They just count him out. Even the wife counted him out. The only one that didn't count himself out was Yahawashi and Job. They was the only ones staying 10 toes down. All right, was Job in this whole situation in his personal view. Now, verse 12 it say, and when they lifted up their eyes afar off and knew him not. Dang, so he was looking so sick they didn't even recognize him. They lifted up their voice and wept, and they rent everyone his his mantle and sprinkled dust upon their heads towards heaven. So they literally counted Job out like he finna die. Literally. That is a custom we did when you mourn. You know, put on sackcloth, you know, all that. Put ashes on your head, you know. So that they sat down with him upon the ground 7 days and 7 nights, and none spake a word unto him, for they saw his grief was very great. You know, so everybody just counting them out, no faith. Job had faith though, and let's prove how Job had faith. Because Job ended up getting everything back. I got James chapter 5 and verse 11. We wrapping it up. James 5 and 11. Behold, we count them happy which endure. And that's what Job did. And Job is a representation of the elect. Job was the one that endured. Okay? So we got to endure. All right? Yahawashi put you through some hell, but we can't be ignorant of this one thing, that 1,000 days to us, all right? No, Salaki, 1,000 years to us is 1 day to Yahawashi. All right? Behold, we count them happy which endure. Okay? So if 1,000 years is a day to Yahawashi, that's 7 months you catching is like seconds. You know, endure it. Yahawashi, just take it day by day. Endure it. Yahawashi gonna make a way. He is gonna deliver you out of your troubles. But it's something that we did. It's something we went off on. You see? That's why we getting chastised. Ye have heard of the patience of Job. You hear that? So let's look up the word patience right quick. Let's look up this word patience.
Strong's G 5281. Upamane. Upamane.
In the New Testament, characteristic of a man who is not swerved from his deliberate purpose and his loyalty to faith and piety by even the greatest trials and sufferings. You see? So no matter what you go through in this truth, it shouldn't deter you from being an Israelite. So what? You may be homeless. So what? You may be hungry right now. So what? You may be broke as hell. So what? So you gonna let the outward circumstances and that little thorn in your side deter you from being an Israelite and doing the work and doing what you have to do? You're not being swerved from your deliberate purpose. And what's your deliberate purpose? To keep the faith, do the work, offend less. List goes on. Being an Israelite, because that's who you are. That's your nationality. You have a power that is attached to you, a culture, a real culture that is attached to you. So you just gonna stop because you catching hell? No. There's the door, man. You know? No matter what you go through, it isn't going to deter you. You know? Behold, we count them happy which endure. Ye have heard the patience of Job. You know, and Job wasn't swerved from his deliberate purpose because he cut his wife through the spirit. So basically he told his wife, so we can only receive the good things from Yahawashi and nothing bad. You know? That the Lord is very pitiful. All right. It say that look, and have seen the end of the Lord, that the Lord is very pitiful and of tender mercy, but above all things, my brethren, swear not, neither by heaven, neither by earth, neither by any other oath, but let your yea be yea, and your nay be nay, lest ye fall into condemnation. You see? When Yahawashi judged Job let his yea be yea. I'm gonna stand 10 toes down in Yahawashi regardless. He let his yea be yea, and he didn't swear. He did not curse Yahawashi with his lips at all. So let's see what the Lord did for like Job holding it down. Let's see what happened. All right. Job's confession. Job 42. Then Job answered the Lord and said, I know that you can't do everything, and that no thought can be withholden from thee. Right. So basically he's saying that I know that you know what I'm saying, that you can do anything, and I know nobody can't stop you. Who is he that hideth counsel out with knowledge? Therefore I have uttered that I understood not things too wonderful for me, which I knew not. In the NLT, you ask, who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorance? It is I. I was talking about things I knew nothing about, things far too wonderful for me. You said, listen, and I will speak. I have some questions for you, and you must answer them. I had only heard about you before, but now I have seen you with my own eyes. I take back everything I said, and I sit in the dust and ashes and show my repentance. You see? So, you know, Job was sitting in ashes, not just to make, you know, the itching go away. He was in there to repent too. You know, repenting. You know, feeling sorry for what he's did. You know, having a sense of remorse, a contrite spirit. His spirit is crushed. You see? The reason why Jake can't catch a break, because Jake proud and Jake don't want to repent. You know? Now, let's go ahead and move down. We got Job 42 and verse. Let's go. Verse 10. And the Lord turned the captivity of Job when he prayed for his friends. Also, the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. You see? Job lost his kids. Job lost everything. And Job got it all back. He lost his cattle. He lost everything. I'm talking about, man, he was down bad. You know, and Jake be put in situations where we think we ain't gonna get out of it. We're like, man, I don't know how I'm gonna get out of this. But Yahawashi always gonna make a way. Just like how he made a way for Job. Because Yahawashi can do anything and nobody can stop him. You know? It's nothing to make a man rich. It's nothing. It is nothing to do that. That's why the scriptures say, don't worry about what ye shall eat or where ye shall drink. Seek the kingdom of Yahawashi, and all these things shall be added unto you. You know? Fear not, little flock, for it's your Father's good pleasure to give you the kingdom. You see what I'm saying? So you got to focus on your deliberate purpose. Do the work. It's truth. Because you got to work out your own salvation with fear and trembling. Now I say when he prayed for his friends, also the Lord gave Job twice as much as he had before. Then came there unto him all his brethren and all his sisters and all they that had been of his acquaintance before, and did eat bread with him in his house, and they and they bemoaned him and comforted him over all the evil that the Lord had brought upon him. Every man also gave him a piece of money, and everyone an earring of gold. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. You see, and ultimately that's us with new bodies. That's us, being first and not last. All right, that's us being that first dominion, first fruits, that new Jerusalem coming down. Ultimately, that's us getting blessed more, but that's going to be on this side too. You may lost 7 wives in this truth. In Jacob's trouble, you going to get 14. I mean, come on, man. This is a time of miracles. The hell that you catch is going to turn into a miracle. Think about it. The hell you catch is going to turn into a miracle, man. Miraculously. So the Lord blessed the latter end of Job more than his beginning. For he had 14,000 sheep, 6,000 camels, and 1,000 yokes of oxen, and 1,000 she asses. And he had 7 sons and 3 daughters. And he was called the name of the first Jemima, and the name of the second Keziah, and the name of the third Karen Hapuch. So look, man, Job got everything back, man. 14,000 this, 6,000 this, 1,000 this, 1,000 that. We don't even know what 100-fold is. But Yahawashi gonna show us. Lord willing, we are part of that number. Then I'm gonna close out with this point been made. You got to lose things in this truth, but you're going to get it all back. Matthew 19:29, and we closing out. And everyone that have forsaken houses, or brethren, or sisters, or father, or mother, or wife, or children, or lands, for my name's sake, shall receive 100-fold, and shall inherit everlasting life. I want to give all infinite honors, praises, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahawashi. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught us this truth and sincerity. They steered us well, and they ruled well. Salutations to the hopeful elect. May the blessing of election be upon your house. We on the next one. Abaratazah. Shalom.